All right, so now we're going to do an actual photograph, and we've kind of talked about the lighting, we talked about different props. I've got an artichoke. My wife picked it up for me. There he is. Isn't that not beautiful? It's got a little teeny stem with a few little leaves on it. So what I'm going to do, and I took it out of the refrigerator, so it's got a little bit of condensation building on it, so I got to be careful. I don't want too much. I've got my scale here. So probably the biggest challenge I have now is how far do I put the scale and the artichoke from the background. So let's take, I don't know if I can do this. Let's see if I fire a shot, let's turn my camera on, of the background. Oops, everything went to sleep. Okay, we're going to do that. We're going to fire one off, and I'm going to look at the background. So we go to histogram. I never go to histogram. Okay, my histogram is spiked just a little bit lower, but I think I got part of the table in there too. So let's just do this. I'm going to go like this. Oops, I went to sleep again. There it goes. It's a little bit on the dark side, I think. So let's push it. That should lighten up the background. That gets pretty close. It's close enough. I'm not as critical as I want. The spike is just a little bit off, but one side. But I think we're good enough. So I could lighten it up, but I'm going to go do this first. We'll look at what value on the scale and the artichoke here. So I'm going to put the artichoke in the scale about 8 inches from the gray. So let's see, I want to set this about like that. I like that little teeny curlicue leaf that's on the back side there. Okay, now I've got my 90, which is a little bit long of a lens to use for this scenario. You'd probably get away with about a 50 millimeter if you really wanted, but let's go right here. Because this is a manual lens, okay, it's a manual focus lens, I've got the adapter that goes and allows, this is an EF lens, the line that fits the single lens reflex, this is the mirrorless, so I have to have an adapter between. But the good news is, all I have to do is tap on the back of my screen, and these little diamonds, 3 little diamonds come up, little square little diamonds, and I can focus just by looking at those diamonds, and bam, I am perfectly in focus, okay? So let me frame it all up here. We're gonna fire one off. All right, let me get out of my histogram here. So I'm looking at my, overall exposure. It looks really good. Now, there's one thing I can do on that background. So my background is flush to the table. My light's coming across, okay? If I take that background and spin it just a little bit, that's going to get a little more light on that side, so it'll be a little more even. Now I can fix that in Photoshop, but we're going to just slide this thing just a whoop. Oh man. Make sure my clamp is good. Let's see what that does in terms of giving me an evenness across the background. Oh, let's see. Let's take a look at that one. And how do I do this? There we go. Yes, it definitely lit it up. Now, also, I'm not quite dead centered on my gray here. So let's push it into the scene a little bit more. And I really should, I might go horizontal. That gray should be a little bit bigger. Let's fire another one off. You won't see it right now, but when I go and do my tilt shift, it's going to show up. Now, let's take and introduce a little bit of a fill on that back side over here. That artichoke stem is a little dark, but I don't want to overfill it. That might be overfilled. So I'm going to use my apple box. We're going to push that fill back even further. Also in Photoshop, I have pretty good latitude, so I'm probably going to be fine there. So the only thing I could think of right now is I want this thing to go just a little more straight up and down here. See if it will. It's not going to do that. Normally I have a little piece of tape. What can I put? I don't have any change. What do I have in my pocket? Do I have a little adapter? What do I have in here? That's a receipt. That won't work. Well, I could use it. I want something I can put underneath there. I found a quarter. It's not quite going to work. All right. I have a little adapter here for my, we're going to stick it underneath here, hopefully hide it. I see a little bit of it, but I think I can take it out in Photoshop if I have to. That's going to level out that thing just a little bit. So let's take a look. Ooh, much nicer. That's perfect. The scale, obviously, oh, the scale's a little crooked too. The whole thing's a little crooked. Let's get it lined up. The other thing that you might want to consider is your depth of field. Do you want your depth of field to go all the way through perfectly? Well, on the stuff that I did earlier, I did not have the depth of field that it was still about 7.1. But in this case, I'm going to go, let's go to F9. And so that was, let's see, 2/3 of a stop. So I take my ISO and go 2/3 of a stop. That should get me the perfect with the F9 now. Okay, that's perfect, except I'm a little crooked. I'm a little off on my centering. So there we go. That looks incredible. I love it. And then now I'm going to shoot one blank. That way I know which my series is. So we go 1, shift it to the left, and then shift it to the right. And I'm actually exceeding my gray background, which is kind of a bummer. But I think I got enough there for a square. So, obviously I'm going to take you guys into Photoshop and we'll retouch this and I'm going to show you how I finish it off. But at least you can see what I'm doing here. So, the beauty of what I've done now is that I can now just switch out stuff. I got boots, I've got a hat, I could not find an old looking fly rod, the reel and the old cork handle. I really wanted that way because I have a little old vintage fly rod or fly basket, whatever you call that. Well, I'm not a fly fisherman, but lay that and lay the reel across it. But once I've set everything up here, now I can just rotate out different products or subjects or whatever it is, items, and build my series. So the hard work is really done now. And that's why I think that you stack up a bunch of different props and then just rotate through. So I'm gonna just let these cameras roll a little bit and you'll see me, I'm gonna put, I need to do those boots. So let's do the boots.